Hello and welcome back to NAS Computex. Today I want to talk about the TS-251B. Okay, so for those that aren't aware, Computex 2018 is on right now, and alongside CeBit next week in Hanover. The result is that loads of new tech from the big guns at Synology and QNAP and more are releasing their new wares that are going to be available to you September, October, November later this year. And with so many new releases, we're trying to pack as many as we can in as possible. Now, if you go to NAS Compares in the description, you will find all that information about all these new releases. But this video is about focusing on the new SMB and home NAS, the TS-251B. Now, it's going to be utilising, as you can see from the graphics on the screen, a very similar chassis to that of the TS-253BE. But this new one, the 251B, is white in design with that little strip on the side, and they've removed things like the SD card reader and the quick access slot that was on the B series. And the device itself is tailored for those out there that want a nice solid base for all of their backups, multimedia and more, both in home and in small businesses too. It features all the functionality you're going to need in QTS 4.3.4 and indeed 4.3.5 that we talked about earlier on the channel and on NAS Compares when it becomes available later in this year. But the hardware and software on this device is pretty impressive indeed, and it is going to be available hopefully in the next couple of months. So straight away, the CPU inside. It is one of the first NASes from QNAP to utilise that J3355. It's a Celeron-based CPU with 2.0 GHz that can be burst up to 2.5. It's only really been mentioned on one other NAS that's still yet to be released, the TS551, that little 5-bay NAS. But Synology have already used this CPU a couple of times on other devices, and it's great that this nice, powerful, yet cost-effective dual-core CPU is now available for QNAP users. Alongside this, it arrives with 2 to 8 gig of DDR3L memory, so you can upgrade it across 2 slots, and maybe you can even add more unofficially. Now, you may have noticed from the front of the screen there, this device doesn't have an LCD panel built into the front, unlike the other devices. There's no LCD, but it is 2 hard drive bays, go click and load, and you've got that removable front panel, no screwdriver required. There's a USB panel there on the front with a one-touch USB copy, and LEDs down the top to give you real-time information about the connection to the drive's network and how busy the device is. If we flip this chassis around, and it's a plastic chassis I should add, on the rear we can see those ports and functionality. Now, for a cost-effective NAS, and I'm looking forward to comparing this with the Synology 218 Plus, one of the earliest things that really captured my imagination about this device was that PCIe slot there on the top. You can add 10 GBE connectivity, you can add an M2 SSD cache, NVMe SSD cache, and of course all of those on a single card available in the QNAP QM2 series, as well as 40 GBE as well. So the idea that this device can be, super speeded with SSDs inside and 10 GBE connectivity is very attractive indeed. And given this device has got RAID functionality built in, and surveillance, and home and office use, and Plex, and all of those applications you want, having the ability to upgrade it in this manner, not just the memory, but also PCIe by SSD caching and 10 GBE, is hugely advantageous. And when this device arrives, I think it's going to be about 250-300 nicker at a push, because they're not going to want to hurt the BE selling point there at about 330 to 350 quid. This is going to be a good affordable price for a number of you out there with great hardware to boot. You may have noticed as well, there's a 1 gigabit LAN port there, a multitude of USB ports, USB 2, there's 3 of them, and 2 USB 3 ports. I'm a little bit shaky about that, but thanks to that HDMI port on the rear, HDMI 1.4B, it means you can use this as a standalone surveillance solution, up to 25 cameras. You can utilise it for Plex, not only over the network and the internet, but locally as well, with a keyboard and mouse and a remote control if you see fit. You can turn it into a standalone PC with virtualization station, container station, Docker and more. And the device itself has a multitude of applications available in first and third party, and of course in the QNAP Club, to make the most of that HDMI port with HD Station. But the device itself, again, has got a speaker built into the bottom for real-time information and playback. And do check out my video about QTS 4.3.4, that full overview of the software and how to take advantage of that speaker as well. On top of that, we've got audio in and out to attach your microphones and speakers in case you want to use these facilities in a standalone PC, or with that weird karaoke software that QNAP in the East loves so much. But apart from that, The device itself is arriving at a great price point with great hardware inside to boot. I'm not going to say this is the most exciting NAS that I've seen at CeBit 2018 and all the surrounding events that these have been released at, but I will go as far as to say that this is in my top 5 because it is a great price point for hardware versus software, and they've used hardware internally that we're quite familiar with, but included all the bells and whistles that larger, more expensive QNAPs have only got access to: PCIe, the HDMI ports, and more. So do check this out when it becomes available to buy, and I think that's going to be about September, October. Do go to guidetospan.com for that, but otherwise do remember to subscribe to this channel to hear more about Computex 2018 this week, and more great new releases when we are on site at CeBit 2018 in Germany, Hanover, next week. Visit NAS Compares in the link below to learn more, and otherwise thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.